Hello and welcome to our Apple Clips for Science and Engineering Practices, showing growth over time, Artifact Design Studio, where we will use Apple Clips to create a showcase backpack item using
Science!
You Are With today,
Lacey Eccles, and I am the Science Instructional Lead for JCPS.
and James Unger, Technical Lead for Digital Innovation at JCPS. And you can see our Twitter handles on there. If you love the video, go ahead and give us a shout out on Twitter. We appreciate it.
So today's purpose is for students will be able to create a showcase of artifacts to demonstrate their growth over time in the science and engineering practice of modeling.
As we're doing that, we are focusing on the pillar called Backpack of Success Skills, which I hope everyone is familiar with. We will show how, just with modeling, which is the second of the 8 practices, you can fit into several pieces of the backpack.
And honestly, if you are engaging in any of the 8 practices, as students are engaging in them, they have plenty of artifacts to fill up your JCPS Backpack of Success Skills. But we're only going to laser focus on one of those today, which is modeling. So in our JCPS classrooms, our students engage in all kinds of different modeling. For example, they engage in modeling when they're drawing some diagrams, like the layers of the earth or the layers model in the upper left-hand corner. Our students also engage in the modeling when they're making stream tables, because models can be physical replicas of things you can't actually go out and do in real life. Also, models can be computer simulations, like the Energy Skate Park, a very popular one in our JCPS classrooms, in the upper right-hand corner. Models can also be mathematical representations, like the speed equation, and models can also be analogies, like this cell analogy of how a cell is like fill in the blank. All of these are different types of models that our students in JCPS engage in. And the purpose of modeling for real scientists is to communicate information and explain patterns that they see in the natural world. And so if our students are engaged in modeling and becoming better modelers, they are also in turn becoming better communicators. And it's our goal today to help our students see that real scientists use models and real scientists use models to communicate.
And what we're going to look at is a student in 4th grade who has done a lot of modeling and may not have expressly known that at the time, but when they go back and reflect on their learning and look at it and we record that, which is what creates our backpack artifacts, the student makes that connection that they've done hands-on and what that hands-on actually means. They've done drawings, they've used analogies, they've done these things, and they're going to show it in the video and then kind of get a better understanding of it as they look back on it.
Our goal here is to help you see that you don't necessarily have to stop, drop, and backpack in your classrooms in order to get quality artifacts. If students are engaging in high-quality inquiry-based science, they are engaging in, honestly, about all of their success skills. And so if we help kiddos make those connections between what they're already doing and how that connects to an effective communicator or a collaborator or an innovator, then we would be able to show growth over time. Instead of, here's how I did a project, I had to present it in front of the class, which made me an effective communicator. Imagine the power of a kiddo showing you 6 different models from throughout the school year and talking about how they got better at modeling, which in turn means they got better at communicating like a scientist.
I think it's great for them to see their evolution themselves as a scientist. It's an amazing thing to see, which hopefully you will see and then you'll be able to pass on to your classes. We work with the SAMR model, which most people are familiar with. If you're not, it goes with looking at technology as far as how it's used in the lesson. And we start with enhancement and work up through transformation. So you have substitution, which is just direct substitute using technology to take the place of a worksheet. You look at augmentation is It's almost a direct substitute, but you're giving some improvement to the lesson in a way that you couldn't do without that technology. Modification, you've significantly redesigned that lesson. You've made major changes, once again, that were not possible before. And redefinition is a completely technology-based lesson. You could not do it. You've busted down the school walls. You're using software to communicate. You're Skyping with engineers in the field. You're making these things that go completely outside of your classroom. You're affecting the community in some way. That is where we hit true redefinition. Now, we will not be in redefinition, but it's important to know you're never expected to always be modifying and redefining. You cannot and should not be trying to do transformation all the time. Substitution and augmentation are there for a reason. They are great ways to move back and forth through this spectrum of the SAMR model. Today, we are going to be looking at using this as a way to augment the lessons. We're coming back, we're reflecting, we are functionally improving the lesson by using technology.
Aiden, what is your favorite part of science?
Whenever we get to test out like different things.
Why do you like to test out different things? Why is that better?
Because we actually get to like do it close up instead of just have to look at a book and read it and look at the pictures.
That's a beautiful answer. I love that. Thank you. How can models help building vehicles?
It can help by so if you just build a model, you can keep making it bigger, and then you can have a visual of what it could look like, and then like you use the model to help you build it.
Okay, you were saying something about making it bigger and bigger as you go, and you said you guys had a race, right? And what was that for?
So as soon as we started doing it, after like the first time, we just started doing it, and then we had to do a race to see which one could go the farthest. And
So you had a design, and you said another design went further, right?
Mhm.
So have you ever seen a car in the real world that looked like that?
No.
Okay, so with models then, do you think that they're always a good representation of the real world, or do they have their limitations?
They have their limitations.
Why?
'Cause like it would not be safe to have something like this. And you can't. And if you're just in school, you can't actually make a car. You'll have to be learning like being an engineer.
All right, I got you. It was a good answer, buddy. What were you doing in this part, and what is this a drawing of? What were you finding out?
So we were doing this in the library where we had to have like little washers, like the giant one. They're these little tiny like circles with holes in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And they're metal, and we were seeing like, so this is like the car, and we had to have a rope, well not really a rope, like string tied to the back of it,
Uh-huh.
and we put more and more of these, and then we saw how far it could go.
Okay, so models help scientists communicate. So you did the drawing of a model, which is another model in itself. How does that drawing help communicate your science, do you think?
This is a picture that shows the car getting pulled by all the washers.
Okay. And that was at the beginning of the year. So you remember that then? So did that actually help you visualize that in your head?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you. So this first part here is a model of a wave, which is a drawing, which can be a simple form of a model. So you did a drawing, and what were you showing with this model?
It was waves, and then we had to like show what each thing is. Like this is the crest, this is the wavelength.
So do you think it's better to do this model like as a picture, or would you have been better just writing like a couple paragraphs about a wave? Which do you think would be better for someone to see?
A picture.
Why do you think a picture?
Because sometimes pictures explain it more than what it says.
So now, based on that, we have a picture here, and then you actually modeled that in the real world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what did you find when you did that? And what were you studying?
So we had like a popsicle stick, and we had to put it at the edge of the table. We put our hand, and then someone else like pushed it down, and then we started making sounds, and we kept doing it every single time. Like we started getting it farther, and every single time we made it get farther, the louder it got.
So did that help you understand a little bit of how waves work by seeing the stick?
Mm-hmm.
What did that show you?
Every single time we moved the stick, it got louder and louder and louder.
As you made the stick, what, longer or shorter?
Longer.
Okay. As we move along with the videos, and we're looking at another unit now, we are getting into circuits and energy, electricity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in this one, you had built and tested a couple different models on your own, and then you had done some drawings, and then there was another drawing of a student attempting to make a circuit. So that drawing is a model, yes or no? Is that a scientist trying to communicate what they did?
Yes.
Okay, so, and it asks, did this model, do you predict that it would work or not?
It would not work because this one's a series and this one's a series. If she would move this one over, this one would get all the energy and turn on.
Okay.
If I scoot it over here, this one would get all the energy and turn on.
So you said she made two series, not what?
One whole parallel.
Well, one whole parallel. Very good. All right. So did that model help you understand if she was saying she had problems with her circuit? Do you think it helps to have a model of it to see what she did wrong?
Mm-hmm.
What was that? I didn't catch that.
Yes.
Thank you. Now we look in here and I see Christmas lights like you'd plug in your house, and it's asking you in the story whether you should use series or parallel for your Christmas lights to get them to light up nice and bright. Could you work on Christmas lights in the house? Could you come over and just start working on different things plugged in, switches and whatnot? Or was it better to use the models that you did?
It's better to use models.
Why wouldn't you just come in the house and start working on the wires in the house?
Because you wouldn't know what you're doing.
Okay, that's a very good reason. Do you think they're pretty much set up in different kinds of series and parallel circuits?
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like what you built. So, I mean, so you kind of understand what those are. Why can't you work on the circuits in the house?
Because sometimes it gets dangerous.
It's dangerous. Okay, it's dangerous. Because you think the house is running on like a C battery?
No.
No? What do you think is working on? You think it's the same, less, more?
A lot of batteries that make like a giant power.
Giant power, a lot, yeah. So, like you said, dangerous. I think that's a great answer. So now looking at all this and having done all of this,
modeling makes it easier to see.
makes what easier to see?
What we're trying to do, like it makes it easier to see, and we can actually experiment like what we need to do.
Okay, so it gives you the ability to actually do the standards that you're learning, right? I'm using all those big fancy teacher words, right? So you're learning your standards. It helps you to see them and understand them, yes?
Mm-hmm.
So do you think scientists that are like grown up like me would use models to explain things too?
Mm-hmm.
You don't think we just get to work on, big things all of a sudden?
No.
Why do you think we would still use models?
So then, like, you know what you're gonna do before you do it.
Okay. Any other reasons we'd want to use models? Do you think it's dangerous for big people to work on just anything?
Yeah, sometimes.
I agree. Is there anything else you'd like to say about modeling in science?
No.
No. Thank you, Aiden. You've been a very great student in helping me with this video.
You're welcome.
Now we're going to look at creating a showcase with the video pieces that we saw earlier. And as you look here, you can see that I'm in the backpack. I've gone to My Artifacts and Showcases. And in here, we'll see that there's artifacts in here. They've got their descriptions and their alignment. All those awesome artifacts are in there. So I'm going to click on Showcases. In Showcases, there's already one here, so I'm going to hit Create to make a new one. I'm going to hit Create, it's going to get it ready. And we're in here. So down here you'll notice that these are all zeros. Now that doesn't mean there's nothing there. That means inside this particular showcase there are no artifacts, so we're going to have to add some. So I'm going to hit Add Artifact. And I'm going to look for the two that I want. In this case it'd be these two. So I'm going to hit Select. I'm just going to add that one. And I'm just going to continue doing that with the artifacts that I want. Add Artifact. This one now is modeling car. That was modeling circuits. Let's see, we had an emerging innovator one. I'm going to add that because all of these videos that I'm putting in here, if I'm using a showcase, they all go to the same thing that we were talking about, which is modeling in science. So even though he has those individual artifacts in his backpack, we're looking at how to put them into a showcase to kind of tie them all together into a, think of it as a bigger artifact or a collection of artifacts that go together. So this is great for like end of unit or after a big project where you've worked in multiple content areas. You can put these pieces in here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look up here and we're going to put a little blurb so that we know what this is and the audience knows what it is. And then we're going to add a little presentation that then refers to these artifacts that are down here. Okay, so I've dropped the artifacts in here, kind of skipped past the all the waiting time. So, and if I look at them, they're just videos, videos, videos. These are all the little videos that we took. All right, so up here I'm going to put a blurb and not like a scientist, as a scientist. All right. Now here you can add a presentation. Think Google Slides, something like that, to kind of flip through and talk about what all these little pieces are down here. What did you accomplish? So I've gone into my drive. I can go to Recent, My Drive, and I'm going to look for the cover I made to put on there. I just did one slide. We're going to add it. Since Aiden is not the owner, I am as a teacher, so he's a student, and it's going to copy it over to his so that he can use it as his cover slide for his showcase. Now when that goes in there, you could have one slide, two slides, three slides, however many slides you need to discuss these artifacts down here. You may have just one, like I did, as make it a nice cover, or you could put several in and talk about each of the artifacts, or one for each of the backpack skills. And then as you flip through the slides, you would then say, okay, so let me click on communicator. Next slide, it discusses, gives a general briefing of what happened in the class that made it innovator, and here is my artifact that goes with that. And have another slide up here and have it talk about why it shows that you were a productive collaborator. Obviously working in science, you do a lot of group work. So it shows that communication with modeling going on over a period of time again. That is making a showcase.
So hopefully, A, you loved that video. It was adorable. Secondly, you really could see that students are able to identify the power of modeling as a communication tool in the doing of science through reflection. I think Aiden did a great job at pointing out the purpose of the models and then the power of modeling. And I think if we can help our students see that in real life, scientists communicate, scientists collaborate, scientists innovate, and by doing science in our classrooms, our students are scientists, and help them make those connections between them being scientists and those skills that they are improving on by doing real science. They'll be able to display them in their backpack of success skills. And I think Apple Clips is a great tool to help students collect that evidence and then reflect on growth over time.
Absolutely, Lacey. So as Ms. Eccles pointed out, we can get these pieces into the backpack. They're already there. It's just a matter of collecting them and putting them in there. So it's great for the teacher, the students to know they've already done these things and they are there and they are scientists doing these things. Also, please know that all the documents and things we've discussed in this video, you can catch them in the document section below the video. Check out the links down there. There's also a great matrix of design for science that shows the science NGS standards and how those cross-cut and hit the backpack skills, and then some technology skills are off to the right of that, where you can use them to help. Now, none of these are an end-all be-all. These do not just fit the success skills that we showed. This is just a starting point for you.
Goodbye.
Thanks, guys. Have a good time. Bye.